morning. How is everyone? So good to see you all today. My name is Kyle Smith, and I have the privilege of being here to talk about my church called Commons. In 2016, I moved to Kansas City fresh out of undergrad. Who's a pastor in here? Any pastors? You remember your first church? You remember the excitement, the anxiety, the fear? What's gonna happen? And I got to this church to become youth pastor, my dream job. And when I got there, as much as I loved the church, and still today, they do an excellent high service where there's organ and there's piano and there's a whole Steinway. It's incredible. They do an amazing job, but it wasn't reaching people like me. I come from a broken home. My father didn't meet till I was 16 because he sold drugs and was in prison. My family are people that are on the fringes. One is here in the room today, Bill Rovat. He's the only other Adventist pastor in our family. But everyone else is either Roman Catholic or non-believers, de-churched, unchurched, struggled with addiction of some kind. So as I was going to these high services, I loved them and they spoke to me, but I knew it wasn't gonna reach my family. I knew it wasn't gonna reach the people I was meeting in the city and downtown as I was making new connections. And so because of that, we started to dream. New Haven is an incredibly open, beautiful church. And so when we started to have these ideas of we're meeting these people and we don't know who to bring them to or where to bring them to, we started to dream. That's where a lot of churches get scared, right? That's where a lot of senior pastors, if you're a senior pastor in the room, when you have a young 22-year-old associate come up to you, that's how old I was at the time, and says, hey, we want to start something for the unchurched. It's like, whoa, man, take it easy. Like, you don't have any scars on your soul. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. Take some time to get to know things. But luckily, he wasn't acting that way. And I get why they do, because a lot of young pastors have caused real damage. We get these ideas and then we move after a year and a half and we change the whole DNA of the church in some weird subversive way, right? And so there are legitimate things. Ed Stetzler, in his book, he's the godfather of church planting, he talks about the fear aspect. And he says this: many pastors do not understand the need for, let's say, a charismatic, they do understand the need for, let's say, a charismatic Presbyterian and Baptist church in each community to serve the needs of members in those denominations. Yet, many of those same pastors are hesitant to plant another expression similar to their own denomination in the same geography, even though a different music style or congregational approach might reach an entirely different population segment. This is what he's saying. It could be competition causing the fear. They reason it may be worse. It might make the older church seem tired and out of date by comparison. The mindset is often fear. But see, thankfully, that was not the mindset of my senior pastor. And so he did not choke out the new life. Rather, he created space for it on the campus of New Haven. And for that, I'm so grateful. And so in 2017, we started something called Seven. It started on our campus. It was the first thing that we did that was somewhat contemporary. People had been meeting at my home for about a year, but as time went on, it got bigger and bigger, and the age range started to grow. It went from this small little Bible study where we were doing a little bit of contemporary music, you know, the guitar and the djembe and all that. It's like the veggie contemporary stuff that we're cool with as Adventists. Like, as long as it's not a drum kit, brother, but if it's a djembe, we're cool. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. It's still a beat. Sorry, I'm just being real. Okay, I'm just being honest. And so we had this situation where we had this like pseudo, oh yeah, cool, you're cute, you're in, Friday nights, whatever, but it blew up. And Seven became this ministry where over 100 people were attending on Friday nights, and the church, they let us have Friday night because that's safe. The young people have Friday night. That's good for them, that kind of thing. But after 2.5 years of it happening and New Haven fully being on board and blessing it, something called seminary happened, which changed my life and was wonderful, and I would never regret coming to the seminary. I encourage any pastors listening, if you're a student, stay, enjoy it, enjoy your time. But then COVID hit. And I wasn't there. There wasn't a pastor that was looking after it because there had been changes in the staff at New Haven as well in areas of ministry. And so it did fizzle out. They went online for a while and they were meeting. But what it did do in the city, and this is the thing, when ministries start and they appear to fail, what we need to remember, something very important, is that they create an appetite. 7 created an appetite for something more modern in Kansas City. Not that the other churches were bad, not that the sanctuary service was bad. They're excellent, beautiful, wonderful places. We cannot start churches in a reactionary response to something we don't like about that. We must start and plant and grow churches out of abundance, out of people wanting to experience new life. There are groups of people that the 16 Adventist churches that look the same in your area will not reach because they all look the same. And all the people in the community do not look the same, friends. And so when we come up on the scene with we have the truth and it has to look the exact same way in its presentation, we're missing them, especially because half of them don't even believe in truth as being a concept. So they've already kicked us out at the door because we don't get it. That wasn't in the notes. Probably shouldn't have said that. But it created this appetite for something more. And so this appetite eventually led to what is now Commons. Commons is the church that I get to be a part of now. And on February 22, after about serving as youth pastor for 8 months at the Kettering Seventh-day Adventist Church, I received a call from my friend Michael Connect. Michael Connect was serving as the CEO of Advent Health, Shawnee Mission at the time in Kansas City. Michael had planted Crosswalk Church many, many, many years ago, and he had a burden to see something new happen in Kansas City. Also, one of the other people who were involved was a man named Dave Kennedy, who planted churches in Denver. And he had a burden to see something new in Kansas City as a result of him working as an executive at the hospital as well. And so they called me and they said, hey, we want to start something new. Advent Health wants to start a church, but we don't want it to be this rogue thing. We want to work. Who do we talk to? And I said, well, talk to 7. Those, 7 passed away, but the people are still there. And so they all connected. And then at the same time, some of the members at New Haven, literally a week later, I get a call from the worship director there, Pam DeCamp, and her husband, Carrie. And they said, hey, during COVID, New Haven lost its second service, and we want to start a second service. So there was one group wanting to do a church plant, another group wanting to start a second service. I connected them, and I thought, all right, cool, have fun, do your thing. Maybe you guys will work something out. Maybe you'll have 2 separate things. But as the months went on, I got a phone call. And the phone call was that they had all been meeting and reading through a book called Simple Church, highly recommend it. And as they were reading through this book, they decided that they were gonna start something called, well, they didn't have a name yet, and they wanted to invite me to come and be the pastor of it, under the leadership of the senior pastor on the campus, Douglas Elsey. And so, my wife Annie and I, we couldn't resist the call because we'd been in Kansas City before and never felt done, which there's a point to this. Invest in somewhere. Find a city you love and invest in it. We loved Kansas City and we got a call to go back and we never felt done. And so when we went back, it was kind of like a homecoming. It's been hard. It's been hard. I don't want to talk about it. Don't talk to me about it after this either, okay? It's a wound. But see, I couldn't resist going, one, because we loved the city, but also because the campus was going to be unified under one vision, and that was to love more. What was I saying? To love more. That was the vision and mission of Seven, and then it became the vision of New Haven, and then it became the vision of Commons as New Haven said, hey, we want to give you a place on our campus to create something, and we will let you have the keys, which that's really hard for some people to do. And so we started with this vision to love more, and we created a discipleship track, and it's super simple. We call it our rule of life, and really what it is one, we want to love God more. We are committed to spiritual growth, to be with Jesus. Two, we are called to love one another more, meaning to become like Jesus. We're committed to loving those in our sphere of influence the way Jesus would love them. And three, we are community. We are a love more community, meaning we do what Jesus did. We are committed to caring for our city and neighbors through our service and our love. This is our discipleship plan. This is our rule of life. This is everything we do as a church. It guides all of our events. It guides everything. And it's worked really well for us. Our first week, if you just want to see some pictures, we met in this beautiful gym. You can see the two lines on the wall where we took down the basketball thing, like a basketball hoop, like a week before. Didn't even have time to paint it. The lights were green and gross. But over time, God has shown up. And so in September 22, we launched Commons. And as we have gone on, we have seen so many beautiful things happen. For Jose, I'll give some success for the numbers, success by the numbers. In 2023, when I shared here, our average attendance was 184. And in 2024, it was 230. We have in Q4 of 2023 an average of 198 attending, Q4 2024, 250 people attending. And so we've had really great continual steady growth. And something that's been actually crazy is that our average, it's not even correct on here, I forgot to update it. It just went up this last week because the last 3 Sabbaths in a row, we've had over 300 members each Sabbath. And so it's been really amazing to see. And to be honest, numbers are great and they're cool. We've had 15 baptisms, 2 professions of faith since 9/22 when we launched. To me, these are great things, they're beautiful things, but they don't really mean you have a healthy church. What means you have a healthy church, what means you're doing gospel work, what means you're making waves in the community and doing amazing things is if you're able to basically create something that's meaningful for people. And so this is Commons. We have great things for the children. We have worship services. We've let young leaders do what they need to do. This is our book corner where we recommend different books for people. We have block parties. We have all kinds of different ages attending. And what we've noticed is that the most beautiful thing out of all of this is our team culture. We've really been intentional about Commons not being about one person, about not being about the pastor, right? It's not about us. Seriously, we go home to the same bed every night, whether they like us or love us or hate us. It's about Jesus and it's about the community and building a community for people, not for us. And so we've created this leadership model where you have the New Haven campus and the New Haven church board, and you'll see we have 3 fellowships on the campus. We have the African Fellowship, Sanctuary Fellowship, and Commons Fellowship. Each have an advisory board. And if you see, we have numerous different leaders. I'm happy to share this with anyone later and also get your wisdom on it. But we now have a leadership team of about 75 people. And this group of volunteers has grown and changed and shifted, and one of which is our street outreach coordinator named Ashley. We started a street outreach ministry to reach the homeless, the houseless. And the reason for this is because Ashley came into our church as a meth addict and homeless through Seven, found fellowship in the church, and now she's been clean for years. We've hired her, and she goes every week and brings 10 to 20 people to church from under the bridge. And it's been a beautiful thing to see happen. And this has all been able to happen for one simple reason, because we are one house, 3 rooms. That's the language we've been using, one house, 3 rooms, meaning we have, like I said, the fellowships. We have the church board. It's a non-traditional church planting model, right? But it's working for us. It's fitting for us. And so the question that I want to ask you today, as I've shared about Commons and the things happening at Commons, and as I close, is this: how will you love your city more? How will you love your city more? For us, it's looked like commons, it's looked like street outreach, it's looked like a more modern, contemporary service style. It doesn't have to look like that for you. How will you love your city more? And how will you connect people to Jesus? That is our greatest call.